Before we even begin, I need you to understand one thing. What you're about to hear will challenge you, confront you, maybe even shake you, because nobody talks about this truth openly. Not your friends, not the men around you, not society, and definitely not the women who have already learned it the hard way. But today, I'm going to say it without filters, without hesitation, without protecting anyone's ego. Because if you're an older man or a man who's becoming one, you need to hear this with absolute honesty. Women aren't drawn to you for the reasons you think. They don't fall for your age. They don't lose themselves over your money. They don't crave your presence because of your experience. That's what insecure men tell themselves. The real reason, the one nobody says out loud, is far more uncomfortable and far more powerful. And once you understand it, once you internalize it, once you see the psychology behind it, you will never approach women the same way again. You will stop chasing what doesn't matter and start becoming someone they can't ignore. You will realize why some older men are irresistible without even trying, while others become invisible no matter how hard they chase. You will learn why women give their bodies, their trust, and their desire to some men instantly, and why they shut down completely with others. And most importantly, you will finally understand the one thing women are silently evaluating every time they look at you, talk to you, and feel your energy. So if you're ready to hear what most men will never be brave enough to confront, keep listening. Because the truth begins now, and once you hear it, you can't unhear it. When I say women don't want an older man because of his age, most people miss what that really means. Because age by itself means absolutely nothing. Age is just the number of times the earth has traveled around the sun while you remained the exact same person. Women aren't drawn to the calendar, they're drawn to the consequences of a man's self-growth. And that's where the truth becomes uncomfortable, because so many men age without evolving. They grow older without becoming wiser. They survive the years, but they don't use them. Women want the older man who has turned time into mastery. The man who didn't run from difficulty, but studied it. The man who didn't crumble under pressure, but transformed through it. The man who didn't avoid self-reflection, but prioritized it. This type of man is attractive not because he has lived longer, but because he has lived intentionally. He has taken his failures, disappointments, heartbreaks, victories, losses, and moments of confusion, and he has used all of them as raw material to build a stronger, clearer, more stable version of himself. Most men waste their 20s and 30s trying to impress people who don't matter, chasing validation from women who don't respect them, chasing money for status instead of freedom. Then they reach their 40s and wonder why no one looks at them with admiration. They think it's the age working against them. It's not. It's the lack of inner development. Time only becomes attractive when you use it well. The man women want is the one who carries his years like a book of wisdom, not a list of regrets. He walks differently because life taught him the cost of moving without purpose. He speaks differently because he learned the damage caused by words spoken without awareness. He loves differently because he knows the difference between attachment and understanding. He doesn't need to be the loudest in the room because his energy speaks before he ever opens his mouth. What makes this man irresistible is that he has integrated life, not escaped it. He has emotional intelligence because he's studied himself. He has boundaries because he's been drained. He has patience because he's seen chaos. He has discipline because he's experienced the consequences of not having it. This is what makes a woman's guard fall. Not age, not money, not physical strength, but internal maturity, psychological maturity, spiritual maturity. Women feel safe with this man, not because he says the right things, but because he is the right things. His confidence isn't performance, it's awareness. He doesn't chase because he knows what he offers. He doesn't beg because he knows what he deserves. He doesn't wave his age around like a badge because his growth speaks for itself. You see, one of the biggest illusions in modern dating is believing that women want older men because they're older. That's a myth. Women want the older man who became someone worth wanting, the man who made time work for him, not against him. The man who learned how to control his emotions instead of letting his emotions control him. The man who built competence, calmness, and clarity. Because that man, no matter his exact age, is rare, and rarity is seductive. So when women choose the older man, they're not choosing years. They're choosing what he did with those years. They're choosing the quality of his evolution. They're choosing the depth of his self-awareness. They're choosing the strength of his character. And if you really understand this, you'll stop trying to appear older, richer, or more impressive, and you'll start working on becoming someone time can't weaken, someone life can't shake, someone women naturally gravitate toward without you uttering a single word. Because in the end, the truth is simple. It's not age that attracts her. It's the man you became while aging. When people talk about attraction, they still cling to the same outdated formula: money, looks, status, style, as if a woman is some machine you can unlock with the right cosmetic upgrades. As if attraction is a transaction. But the truth is deeper and far more uncomfortable. A woman is not responding to what a man has, she's responding to what a man radiates. You can buy a nice watch, but you cannot buy presence. Presence is earned. Presence is cultivated. Presence is the result of a man who has faced himself and is no longer intimidated by his own depth. This is why so many men with money still feel invisible. This is why good-looking men lose to men who simply know themselves better. Because the older man women want is not the one with the most material comfort. It's the one whose energy carries weight. The one who stands like he has nothing to hide, nothing to run from, nothing to prove. That kind of presence is magnetic. It does something to the nervous system. It makes a woman feel safe without him saying a single word. It makes her body relax while her mind becomes alert. It makes her curious without him performing. And that's another thing. Real presence eliminates the need for performance. When a man is deeply secure in who he is, he doesn't need theatrics. His silence carries more authority than another man's shouting. His stillness carries more confidence than another man's flexing. His calmness is not weakness. It's evidence of an internal world that is not at war with itself anymore. Women feel that. They sense it. They respond to it instinctively. Presence is the subconscious message a man sends long before he speaks. It's how he occupies a room, not with ego, but with grounded clarity. It's the quality of his eye contact. It's the rhythm of his breath. It's the stability of his emotions. It's the way he listens fully, deeply, without the need to dominate the conversation. And that last part is crucial. Women are starving for men who listen with intention instead of listening with impatience. Listening is a form of power. It's quiet authority. It tells her, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to connect with you. A man with presence makes a woman feel seen, not scanned, understood, not judged, valued, not used. And because this type of man is so rare, his presence becomes more seductive than any external trait. His energy makes her feel like she wants to surrender. Not because she's weak, but because she recognizes strength she doesn't have to fear. This is also why presence is more attractive than success alone. Success without emotional maturity feels sharp, cold, and self-serving. But presence with maturity feels warm, steady, and trustworthy. When a man has both competence and composure, he becomes unforgettable. He becomes the kind of man a woman thinks about when she's alone, the kind she feels safe with even in silence, the kind she trusts without effort. Presence is born from self-mastery, and self-mastery is born from facing your own darkness. The men who lack presence are the ones avoiding themselves, avoiding accountability, avoiding discipline, avoiding emotional regulation. They look confident on the surface, but their energy is scattered, Women feel that instability instantly. Instability is the fastest way to kill attraction. So if you want to understand the secret behind why some older men are desired effortlessly, it's this: their presence is the result of a life lived consciously. Their calm is the result of battles they didn't escape. Their confidence is the result of rebuilding themselves after life broke them. Women aren't drawn to their age, they're drawn to the work they did through their age. And if you take only one thing away from this, understand that true attraction isn't about what you show the world. It's about who you are when the world isn't looking. One of the biggest misunderstandings men have today is thinking women are impressed by chaos disguised as confidence. They confuse impulsiveness with passion, loudness with strength, and attention with connection. But a woman's attraction doesn't anchor in noise. It anchors in stability. It anchors in a man who carries depth, not drama, who brings presence, not pressure, who offers emotional clarity, not emotional volatility. Women are drawn to the man who has turned his inner world into a place of order, because that man doesn't just show up, he grounds her. Most men never realize this. Attraction isn't about how intensely you pursue her. It's about how intentionally you manage yourself. Stability is magnetic because it creates psychological safety, and safety is the silent foundation of desire. A woman cannot fully surrender, emotionally, mentally, or physically, to a man she does not trust. And trust is not built from charm or words, it's built from consistency, calmness, and emotional self-control. You can tell a lot about a man by the way he reacts under pressure. Does he collapse? Does he panic? Does he become aggressive? Or does he remain still, conscious, deliberate? Women instinctively evaluate this, not because they're judging, but because they're biologically attuned to the quality of leadership a man carries. A man who goes from 0 to anger in seconds is not a man she can lean into. A man who avoids all discomfort is not a man she can respect. But the man who takes responsibility for his emotions instead of using them to manipulate or explode, that man becomes unforgettable. Depth is not about being complicated. Depth is about being aware. It's the man who understands his triggers, not the man controlled by them. The man who reflects before reacting. The man who knows how to sit with discomfort without projecting it onto someone else. This emotional discipline becomes a form of quiet power. It tells her, this is a man who has faced his storms. This is a man I can trust during mine. Self-mastery is what separates a desirable older man from an exhausted, frustrated one. Because a man without self-mastery tries to control everything outside himself: women, circumstances, outcomes. But a man with self-mastery focuses on what he can control: his mindset, his habits, his reactions, his boundaries. And this creates a sense of internal stability that a woman can feel instantly. She doesn't have to guess who he will be tomorrow. She doesn't have to fear unpredictability. She doesn't have to manage his emotions for him. She can simply relax into his presence. This is why depth is seductive. Depth means you've lived, but you've also learned. You didn't just go through experiences. You processed them. You didn't just get hurt. You healed. You didn't just make mistakes. You corrected them. And because of that, you have emotional clarity most men never develop. You're not impressed by superficial validation. You're not hungry for attention. You're not reactive to life's difficulties. You're not threatened by a woman's emotions. Instead, you understand them, hold space for them, respond to them with maturity. That is rare, that is powerful, that is attractive. A woman is drawn to the man whose internal world is not a war zone, the man who makes her feel like she doesn't have to shrink, perform, or pretend. The man who brings peace, not pressure, direction, not confusion, strength, not instability. And the beautiful part is this: none of it comes from age alone. It comes from the work you've done on yourself. So if there's one truth you must take with you, it's this: a woman doesn't fall for the man who looks the strongest on the outside, but the man who is the strongest on the inside.